Hi guys. Now about a month ago, I went on a trip to the worst city in America, Atlanta, Georgia, against my will. Now on this trip, I partook in a ghost tour, the Atlanta City Ghost Tour. And originally, I was going to use my experiences on this ghost tour to use as inspiration for this video. But long story short, it was ass. All the stories followed the same as tropes that you've heard 1,000 times before. I mean, our tour didn't even go to the Biltmore Hotel. I mean, we did see the Fox Theater, so at the very least that was a cool sight to see. But in light of my growing disappointment and violence towards the Atlanta people, I decided to do my own research into the lesser known ghost stories in the Atlanta region. And I gotta say, a whole lot of drug related incidents. And after combing through at least 15 gang-related shootouts, I found something. A good something. It was like a kilo hiding behind a dumpster. And in my honest opinion, it's one of the most interesting ghost stories that I've ever heard in my life. So I don't know how this got swept under the rug so quickly. Before I start, I want to give a little bit of a disclaimer. This story has guns, blood, drugs, and hookers. In that order. So if you can't hang with that, proceed with caution. But without further ado, it's my pleasure, and my pleasure alone, to regale to you the story of the Atlanta Banana. I assume most people know what Prohibition is, you know, the time in America when alcohol was banned countrywide. Needless to say, the folks over in Georgia hated this more than getting blue balls. In fact, there was this one man who hated it so much that he created a whole ring of speakeasies just to wet his own whistle. And that man's name was Dario Giovanni. As most of you know, Atlanta is known for high crime rates and even higher criminals. Who would have thought the combination of those two would create such a cesspool? Anyways, our story begins in a town to the east of Atlanta called Athens. Dario was born on February 4th, 1917, and a satisfying 111 days later, his father, Enzo Giovanni, was drafted into World War I. Now, despite the war ending in just over a year at this point, he still went missing in action. Did he go AWOL? Did he become a POW? Or was he just left behind? Who's to say, really? All that we know is that when Dario's mother, Chiara Giovanni, got notice of her husband's fate, she became the biggest bitch. For all of Dario's conscious childhood, Chiara was the most stuck-up helicopter parent around. And that's saying something since helicopters weren't even invented until 1939. He barely left the house, he was homeschooled, and he was starting to get depressed. The few times when he did leave his house, you best believe he was glued to his mother's side. And on one day, he got tired of it all. He got tired of all his mother's bullshit. So you know what he did in response? That's right, he gutted her in her sleep. After coming to his senses, Dario realized that when the cops come to investigate this crime scene, he's gonna be the main suspect. So he spent the next few days trying to make himself go missing. And his journeys took him all the way from his hometown of Athens, Georgia, all the way to Midtown Atlanta. With how densely populated the heart of Atlanta is, he knew that a reusable Sailor Moon transformation sequence would be the perfect disguise from the cops. Johnny Law would be looking for a 5'9" Caucasian male with green eyes and long blonde hair, but now Dario is a 5'9" Caucasian male with green eyes and short brown hair. Fooled the cops for years. Obviously he didn't go by his real name. I mean, any corrupt pig in Atlanta could figure out his disguise if he kept his name. So he started going by Jay Bradley, the would-be magician if his mother wasn't such a stuck-up bitch. And after a short time in Atlanta, Jay got introduced to the reason why so many vigilantes exist. Crime was everywhere. Drugs and alcohol were being bartered, trafficked, and fought over in almost every alleyway. People were giving each other funny bumps and pole twisters. Hell, even the squirrels were jacking each other off. Needless to say, Jay was in a rough and tough neighborhood. But like the world famous Tuatara, he adapted. Jay's reputation started with him beating the shit out of a bouncer at a speakeasy, followed by him setting a new bar record at drinking 5 beers in under a minute. People were starting to notice this freak of nature in his banana print shirt. And after this night to remember, Jay earned his also infamous nickname, the Atlanta Banana. Holy sweet mother of callbacks! After about a year, Jay became basically Billy the Kid of Georgia. People spoke of him as if he was John Doe, or Judas. And in his pompous attitude, he created his own signature walk whenever he was taking care of business. I found the choreography written in my source to be a little bit unclear, so I took the liberty to try and recreate it. To the best of my ability, this was his signature walk. Every time he went to go take care of business, pimping a hoe, teaching a hoe her place, buying his morning coffee, every fucking time he would hit this walk. And as his infamy spread across Atlanta, so did his influence. Unfortunately, a group of bad guys called West Point didn't like him so much, so they started congregating and conspiring against him at this little old inn called Lenox Inn in College Park. And let me tell you, if you wanted to do an any percent run on contracting AIDS, coming here was the equivalent of the BLJ. These guys wanted to do whatever it took to get Jay and his potassium penis off the streets. And apparently, one of these guys was related to Yosipov, because he tried to shoot Jay dead in his chest. Thankfully, Jay was part Russian, so he saw this assassination attempt coming from a mile away. What followed was a shootout of biblical proportions. It looks something along the lines of this. The shootout lasted almost an hour, with Jay and his goons rising victorious. And the spoils of war were just as disgusting as the battlefield. I'm talking the herpes haven itself, Lenox Inn. Now this place turned from bad to worse under Jay's control. It was so bad that locals started calling it Banana's Brothel. And even though his throne was made of homies, hoes, and hookers, Jay ruled proud as Kingpin of Atlanta. Though his rule was promising, it was short-lived. Johnny Law was finally starting to catch up with Jay and his sins. But he wasn't gonna go down without a fight. And a fight he gave. He stockpiled almost every square inch of the inn with the epitome of what makes American culture: guns and booze. He was holding off the cops with ease in his makeshift fortress. But eventually, he was running low on supplies. After holding off the cops for over a day, Jay was running low on bullets. Terrified, he started scrambling and thinking what to do, and then it hit him. He was going to start making Molotov cocktails and throw them at the cops. Genius. Slight miscalculation. This motherfucker is Butterfingers as crazy. He had a lit Molotov cocktail, slipped, dropped it, and set fire to the entire inn. Miraculously, him and a few goons got out before they burned to death. Can't say the same for the 50-odd still trapped inside, though. Jay was promptly arrested and sentenced to death by hanging. Don't believe me? Here's his mugshot. A few years later, the inn was bulldozed down and built in its place what is now Drury Inn. And every once in a while, if you look in the windowsills, you'll see a banana laying out in tribute to the man who once won Atlanta. But this is a ghost story, I hear you crying. Is this place supposed to be haunted or something? Hella haunted. The Fox Theater was a nunnery before it burned down, and now the entire place is haunted by faceless nuns. I learned that factoid on that fuck-ass ghost story I was telling you about. Some people say that if you listen real closely, you can hear the sounds of sirens blaring, guns firing, and people shouting, as if the shootout was still going on today, over a century later. So next time you're driving through Atlanta, leave a banana at Drury Inn, as tribute for the lost king of Atlanta, the Atlanta Banana. Cue curtains, thunderous applause, and copious amounts of redheads waiting outside my dressing room. So that's the story of the Atlanta Banana. A story of a bright kid with an even brighter future. who hated his mother and went on to kill hundreds of people. Really is crazy how no one talks about this. This guy is basically the Al Capone of the South. Wanna know why people don't talk about this? Because I made the entire story up. Stay safe, eat cake, and I'll see you later.